Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us on the MSP Initiative, coming to you live today from a Circle K. And our guest, Jason Comstock, is out at a PAX 8. Are you in Columbus today,
I
Jason?
am in Columbus
So you're in your hometown.
I'm in my hometown, just in the south side of the hometown.
Good, good. Well, I am in a familiar view for me the last 3 weeks of driving on Channel Strong, but this time in the back seat instead of the driver's seat. So, it's always good. I feel like this is my home away from home. I've spent, this year close to 17,000 miles in here. So, but thanks for joining us, Jason. You were our week 2 host out in Columbus, right?
We were for the Channel Strong tour, and we had beautiful weather that day.
I know I had beautiful weather that day too.
We're going to
But
have
my
that conversation.
weather was.
Wait. We can't have that conversation right now.
Well, you got to start, and get it right out of the way. You had Columbus, Ohio weather. I had Punta Cana, DR
Oh,
weather,
yes. I forgot about
right?
that trip.
So, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I can't complain. You were in your shirt. I was in my swim trunks in the salt water. So, but so so Jason, one of the things that we've been hearing as we've traveled around the country, obviously there's been 3 more weeks of Channel Strong and several events. You've gotten out to many more events and all of that. But one of the ladies, you're out in Columbus, Ohio. You're an MSP. Tell us a little bit about Clarity real quick, and lay the of perspective of your market right now.
Sure. So we've been around for 17 years, started back in 2005. It was myself and my wife decided to go on this little adventure of owning your own business. And oh, the things we have learned. Very interesting when you're sitting on this side of the table. Our target has always been supporting the small business environment. Now, we classify that today as businesses that are 10 to 100 employees. Those are the folks that need an IT department, but they're really not big enough to constitute that on their own. So we now show up with 4 technicians, all the tools, myself, the NOC team that we use from ConnectWise. So there's a lot of resources that we're bringing in there. And really what we have found over time is those have been very healthy long-term relationships for us. Central Ohio is where we live. Central Ohio is where we serve.
Yep. So Jason, recently I know, a lot of things that we hear out in the field are people struggles, getting qualified people. And I know you've just recently gone through a change. What happens, in that change? Why did the person leave, and what's the struggle of finding that next person for you?
So the person that left had been with us for about 3 years. We actually hired him out of our career school. So we have a very interesting relationship with our local career school that has an IT program. We've brought over interns. We're on our 4th intern now, and they generally have worked out really well for us. They're green as can be. They have some interest in IT. They have some foundational skills as being in that program. But as far as the soft skills, those are things that sometimes we have to put a little more effort into teaching. But they've all turned out to be very good employees. They've learned a lot. They've contributed. They've brought ideas back to us of things that we're not even thinking about, or we're just stuck in a pattern, and they're able to look at it through a different set of eyes. Now, so the person that left, he had been with us for 3 years. It's kind of the cycle you go through with somebody that's new and young. That first job, 2 to 3 years, is kind of the average that I've heard people talk about. So I wasn't surprised. He was looking to do some bigger, different things, which it wasn't going to be us. And we have the challenge, and I suspect most people do, is you have some very large employers in any given area that consume a lot of IT people. And because they're trying to get those people for their initiatives, they end up offering pay that we just can't touch. And we've lost, and Honda manufacturing, and I drive Hondas. I love Hondas. I just don't like Honda hiring away our employees. So we've had that happen to us twice, and I absolutely get it. I mean, send him away equipped as he can, and he contributed, and we still keep in touch, just see how he's getting along. Now, on the hiring side of things, so we have the job description and the training regiment and everything squared away for that position, because it is a position that churns a little bit, not bad, but it does churn. So we have a pretty good idea how to onboard somebody. We started with a posting in Indeed with the job description. And we're very specific in that job description. I've actually had my technicians go through that description and really look at it from their set of eyes, as far as what are we asking for people to do, and got that posted. The other thing that was interesting through this process is I got a call from Indeed, because they're pushing their Indeed interview online, and I got talking to them about the position, and they said the way it was described and laid out was very helpful, and they thought it was going to surface some candidates. So we had several people that we thought these are potentially good fits. The person that we're going to extend an offer to here actually came to us we had an open house as part of Channel Strong, and he showed up at our doorstep. And it was interesting. He reached out an hour after the person who left said, "Oh, I'm leaving. I'm moving to this other position." Then I get a note from this other person saying, "Well, I'm looking to do some different things. Could we have a chat?" And so that's kind of how that all worked out.
Nice. So that worked out, but I know you've had some searches in the past, and we've certainly worked together. As a matter of fact, you said you've been in business 17 years now, right?
Yes.
And how do we measure our time together?
So Pete and I have worked together for about 9 years, and we measure ourselves based on our county fair cycle. So at home, I'm a 4-H advisor along with my wife. Our county fair starts next week, and Pete and I started talking shortly prior to a given fair. So we measure, oh, it's fair time. Oh, how many years have we been together? And we got connected because we've been in HTG, which is now Evolve, for longer than that, probably for 4 or 5 years before you and I got to know each other. And I had talked to Brad Descent saying we're struggling. He kept beating us up. You got to do marketing. You got to do marketing. I was like, Brad, I don't have any more time to do all these other things. I know that's a thing that you need to dedicate resources to. I need help. Who do I talk to? And that's how we got connected.
And as you can see, you made the MSP current events.
I see. Got the nice 4-H logo there. That's great.
Can you figure that? The relationship measured in number of 4-H fairs.
Yeah, so we can talk about chickens and pigs and everything else on a sidebar.
So that brings me to the next point. And as you described hiring a little bit, and a little bit of your secret sauce with going with the tech college, which is a great way to get people. One of the things that we've seen at the events, and we've gotten a lot of great feedback on it, is relationship. This co-opetition thing that's been building over the last several years. I think relationship is the driver for everything in our business. So.
Oh, it absolutely is. I mean, I think about the PAX 8 mission briefing here, sitting with, we were talking about Roddy and JP and some of the other guys. Because of the MSP community call, I've gotten to know those folks. I've been out to Denver, got to know them a little bit more. PAX 8 has been really helpful in just getting people introduced, plus just being in the Evolve peer group environment. That has really helped to build those relationships. Something I'll share with you. So when I started, I met with the accounting firm that's in town that I happen to know those guys longer than we've had the business. And they introduced me to their IT person, who was also a consultant to them in a couple other businesses. And I remember him saying, you're going to have a lot of lonely lunches. You need to get to know people in the IT space. And this was really before MSPs and the whole concept of community started to solidify. And his name's Pete, by the way. So that still rolls through my through my mind of finding like-minded people. We're all trying to serve our clients, do the right things, understand their business, and drive it along. And having that community really helps, because we don't know it all. If we think we know it all, we're in trouble. But if we have people to talk to, that just helps move things through so much faster. I was talking with Roddy this morning just about some Office 365 alert tools, and in a short amount of time, we covered a lot of territory.
Yeah. So it's amazing. And Sade, you can open up the mics to let the audience come in, because I'm a little crippled as to how to do that while I'm on the road here. But that lets anybody else jump in and make some comments. So welcome, Bruce. Welcome, Tim, and the rest of our audience. What do you guys have any comments to throw in on what Jason is saying there with relationship builds of peers?
Yeah, this is Tim. Relationships are absolutely critical. And they happen in a bunch of different ways. But if you're not out there building relationships with, sometimes, as again, the competition, co-op competition, with your local chambers, with other businesses, asking for referrals for specific things that may not be IT related. If you're not out there doing that, you just become an island, and it's very difficult to get people to come to you and begin, start conversations about IT. And they may not be about sales, it may be about things like, again, search engines. What are you doing for this? What are you doing for that? We're having this issue, even as, we've been in business for 26 years. And if you think you know it all, or you're pretty much time to hang up your shoes.
Yep. So, one of the other things I hear, I learned on was, what's the experience, Jason, and anybody else that wants to pipe in. When you first start your MSP, you're very protective of your clients, and you're worried about who could steal them, or turning over lists and things of that nature to your partners, like, distribution or a manufacturer or a SaaS provider. What do you guys feel about that? How's that model still the same? Has it changed? Is there more trust, less trust?
I'd say just after you're working this space for a while and you get to know who the solid partners are that can help you out, it's that free flow exchange of information, paperworks and NDAs and all those kind of things too. But that's what's going to help you grow in what you do, the services you offer, the opportunities that you seek out. So I don't have, and I wouldn't hang our customer list out on our website, but I have some friendly competitors who know who some of our clients are, and that's fine. And we've actually had a couple of cases where I got called by a really large church to help them out with some things. I found out that who their MSP was, who happens to be a friend of mine, and I called him up. I'm like, hey, I just got a call from these guys, and here's what they said, X, Y, and Z. And he was really appreciative of it. He's done the same for me. And he said, well, you still should go after it if we're not doing our job, but thanks for the heads up.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of found, like, when I was an MSP, the more that I engaged, the better off I was. And, like, not just things like deal reg, but getting my rep involved helped bring many other things like MDF and support for events or webinars or things of that nature. Have you guys experienced something similar? Or?
I'd say yes. I mean, being able to talk through opportunities with our reps, this is what we're doing, what we're struggling with, and they may say, oh, you should go talk to this person, or here's something some other people have done. If we're not sharing that information, it's not going to necessarily lay the seeds to have the information come back that you need to have to do better.
I agree with that. And there's so many channel relationships, and you're talking to, 4 or 5 channels. You're talking to probably hardware and software relationships, probably 12 to 15. And you can't keep track of stuff like MDFs and marketing programs and opportunities and new things coming out. I could spend all day on webinars looking at new stuff and new proposals and new applications, what have you, not get anything done, create no revenue. So trying to maintain that kind of relationship with your rep is really important if you find the right rep, which with rotation nowadays is getting harder and harder.
Yes, I would
Key
agree
thing
with the
there,
rotation piece. Mhm.
right? That's the most painful piece of it all. So Jason, what are some of the things that you do to engage with your partners that make it better?
I would say getting involved in the MSP community environment that PAX 8 has tried to foster has been tremendously helpful, because I feel like there's a whole lot more people I can go talk to when I just have questions or something's not making sense. I'm very open with all the partner reps we have. We have regular calls just to keep track of all the different activities that are going on within them and within us. The partners that seem to get that idea of understanding the MSPs, the channel, will make a point of reaching out and saying, oh, we haven't talked in a while. Let's catch up on this, and this.
Yeah. I don't know. Anybody else do anything else? Any secret sauce out there that makes it better for you guys?
No secret sauce, but I mean, definitely when you get a call from your, peripheral security people and they have a new rep and they call you up and start talking about stuff, you realize about 3 or 4 times more than they do because you've been, loyal to their channel for 16, 17 years. It's kind of like, what's the point?
Right. Yeah, and you have to re-educate and train them.
Yeah, they go to somebody else that you don't use. So it's like, and then you get the calls, oh, well, move from A to B. And said, no, I'm fine with A. Well, here's B. And then it kind of grows like a mushroom.
Yep. So kind of leading into some poison water here. And Jason, you smile because you know what you might be anticipating what I'm going to ask you next.
It's already come up today a couple times here, so
I'm sure it has. We got through the Microsoft changes, and we know that the partner program is changing, and that's continuing to evolve and morph. But we have this acquisition that just happened that's creating a stir out there, and we see a lot of thing in the trade rags. But you've been talking to your rep, Jason. What's the kind of feedback you're getting, and how are you feeling about this Datto acquisition?
Well, I mean, I know there's a lot of people in the community that say if you haven't jumped ship already, you're going down with it, kind of thing. So there's some of that doom and gloom there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to be a little more patient about it, and I guess for a couple reasons. One is we've used Datto for probably as long as you and I have known each other, and they have been a really good partner. They understand the community. They've been very helpful. When we call them for support, we get it fast. They get it done. They stick to our hips until we say it's all squared away. And those are things that we just so appreciate with them as a partner. The concern, of course, that the community is talking about is, are we now going to be dealing with multi-year terms? Are we going to be dealing with price increases? What happens to support? The things that make Datto work, are they going to stay, or are they going to get Kaseified? I don't know.
That's a new word. I haven't heard Kaseified yet, but
I guess I can coin that one. But so I guess we're kind of in a wait and see approach. I have talked with some people over there. I've expressed the concerns I have, things that I've heard in the community. So at least I feel like I'm telling them. I'm sure they're hearing it from everybody else too. But that secret sauce is why they've been successful in the partner community. Hopefully they can retain that.
Yep. Yeah, we constantly look at that. So are you preparing plan B? So if something does start to go sour, you can make a move. Are you in that
I
mode
am.
yet?
I'd say we're probably fairly early in having that conversation, but articles over the last few days probably stepped that up a few notches, and that was certainly a topic of discussion last night, as well as today. But I am actively polling other peers to say, if you don't use Datto today, who do you use? And if you did use Datto, who'd you go to? Just so we have that short list. And I've talked with a couple of them just to have some introductory calls, but nothing that where I'm saying, great, let's go. Let's move this whole fleet of Datto to something else.
Could be painful.
I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it will be.
Yeah.
And the challenge is when you change platforms, whatever it is, software, hardware, RMMs, there's time to train. There's time that comes away from supporting the clients, and there's a cost to the business for that. So we have to be very intentional in what we do.
Yep. I'm surprised our favorite Dallas Cowboy fan isn't on here today, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention Keith, because sometimes he's stalking somehow and his voice just comes on. But I don't see him in there or dialed in or anything. So we'll give him his mention because he's usually very highly opinionated on this part. So but yeah, plan B is important, right? And having plan B ready to go and roll out, because it's one of those things that when it happens, it goes downstream quick, right? And you know, if you don't have plan B and you haven't been planning for it, you could be in trouble very quickly. So without a doubt, very important, very important. So you're out at this mission briefing. What are you hearing? What's going on with PAX 8 and the mission briefing? And you know,
Well, so a lot of what they've covered so far is talking about education, and pushing back into the community of here's the things that are going on, things that we need to know, some different peer group services that they offer, so with C-level and their acquisition there. But really just an opportunity to hear different infrastructure options. John Rona's here talking about Azure Virtual Desktop a little bit. Right now is a panel discussion with Roddy Henry and JP. And I'm sure they're just talking about some different experiences along the way, but it's a good chance.
and we ripped you out of that trio.
You did. I've already made the apologies and I blamed it all on you.
That's
So
okay.
so I'm good.
Sure I'll feel the pain along the way.
I'm sure, but you know, it's good just to sit. I had breakfast with a couple of MSPs and we talked shop, which is really refreshing. Same thing at lunch. And this is the kind of group that is willing to talk a lot about here's things we're doing, here's where we're having some struggles, here's what's worked really well for us. Hey, you ought to take a look at this thing because it does X, Y, and Z. So that's part of the reason for coming to this. I mean, I get to hear Ken all the time, but hearing from other MSPs and the things that they do, because they're living in the trenches like we are, is fantastic.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I don't know. Has anybody else that's on the call been to any of these PAX 8 mission briefings in their area? They seem to be traveling around and hitting a lot of locations. This is your second one this week, right? Did you go to the other one the other day?
The one in Philly?
Was there one in Philly? I thought there might have been one in Chicago too.
No, well, there might have been. I know they came from Philly to here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And George, who's not with us, took them all out for cheesesteaks.
Yeah, I've heard some of the stories about that one.
You know, you can't go to Philadelphia with George and not have a cheesesteak. So, you know, George is in flight today, and I hear he's landing at some point towards the tail end of this broadcast, and he may jump in. So we just never know when George. You know, I was driving earlier and he called me from the airplane. So you just never know, right? But yeah, so you know, PAX 8 is out there. They're doing it, and they're one of our key sponsors for, you know, Channel Strong and MSP Initiative. So it's good to see that they're doing well and that everybody's getting out to support them in their efforts too, because they add a lot of value to the community without a doubt. So Jason, what's next for Clarity? You know, what do you see in your market?
Well, of course, we need to onboard a new tech, so that will take a little bit of cycles from us. I think right now, and I actually was comparing notes last night with some folks. We're all sort of feeling that summer slowdown of people are on vacation, they're thinking about other things. Then you add there's an election coming up, so that slows the wheels down a little bit. Potential recession, that kind of slows things down a little bit. Good news is with managed services accounts, you know you're going to have a base cash flow to be able to work from. Now, project wise, the things that we're looking at is the work from home or hybrid work environment, whichever terminology you want to use, is here to stay. The makeup may change a little bit, but office life is not going to look like office life before 2020. You're going to have people working at home part of the time, all the time, permanent, whatever situation that company comes up with. So the things that were sort of temporary through that process are really now become mainstay fixtures for our clients. Moving to cloud services, the education pieces that need to happen with that, the security pieces, of course, all the cyber liability renewals that's driving activity around MFA and educational activities. Those are the things that are consuming more of us, which is a good thing.
It's interesting, current news, when we talk, we like to talk about current news. And yesterday there was the announcement by Huntress that I believe they bought Curricula, which is a competitor to KnowBe4 and ID Agent. So they're getting into the security education side now too, with that. So that's interesting as, they round out their stack and what they can bring to their partners. But education, I know you focused a lot on education with local small businesses and things of that nature.
Right, and we continue to seek out those opportunities, and that's just something that's a give for us. I mean, certainly it helps in just building relationships for things down the road, but ideally I want to be able to go into a whole bunch of environments. You tell me when it works for you, coffee in the morning, cookies in the afternoon, whatever it happens to be, and give me a little bit of time with your employees and let's talk through the security things. Because if you just think this is a technology play to fix security issues, you're missing a big part of that technology, which is the person and what's between their ears and paying attention. One of the PAX 8 people was talking about it at lunch. She almost got phished at lunch, and she just paused for a moment while she was looking at an email on her phone and realized, oh, okay, no, that's not right. And then she submitted it for a report.
Yeah, nice. And a lot of these companies are running phishing attacks against their employees to teach them.
Well, and I don't know if that was a phishing attack or a real one. She didn't say, but we applauded her for just slowing down for a moment and looking at her email.
Yeah. So I want to roll back to our BDR and continuity discussion. Somebody asked a question that came in and said, what are the most popular BDR solutions that they have chosen? So, you've chosen Datto. Who are you looking at? Who are your potential sources of
Accent keeps popping up on our radar in different conversations that we're having. Veeam is actually here at the PAX 8 event, so I'll have some conversations with them too. But I do hear Accent on a regular basis, so they may be the top of the short list.
Okay. Who else is out there? I think Acronis.
Acronis is out there. You have Synology that's trying to play in this space, and a whole bunch of others that I can't. And actually, I just got a Synology email, but a whole bunch of others.
I heard you. It was like that cookie dropped while you were on, right? And the email generated. Wait, there's a live going on, and there's the cookie. Send the email. No, only.
And so, for us, we're going to be looking at support. Do we get on-site, off-site? I mean, all those types of things sort of that we're used to in the Datto model. So we'll look at this to some degree with, these are the things we like about Datto. Do they exist in this other solution?
Yep. So I'm going to change the tide of this conversation a little bit, because we have a tendency to talk about all of the vendors and things like that. But I want to get a little bit more where maybe we can get into some things that are helping your business. And I turn to my specialty and where we work together primarily is marketing, right? So what are some of the things that really work well for you, Jason, that are giving you what you're looking for in a marketing program?
Well, yeah, at a high level, I would say marketing air cover. And I use that from, Pete, you'll be happy to hear this. Guy I worked for at CompuServe was a Navy aircraft commander. And that was his thing, is our job's to give you air cover. He'd go hunting submarines. We're not hunting subs, but just having the name and the presence out there and people seeing us in some capacity, and I do from time to time, people will mention, oh, I saw such and such on LinkedIn or such and such over here, and you guys are present. I recognize your logo and those kind of things. So there's a little bit of understanding of who we are in the circles that we run in. What has been profitable for us is we generally serve in more of a rural part of Ohio. Columbus is the capital. We're just border Columbus, but we tend to look for business outside of that because the smaller businesses demographically that are in our wheelhouse and there's less competitors to go after are going to sit outside the beltway. So the chamber relationships have been really helpful over time to move those along. Sorry, Kenny just poked his head in here.
Hey, there's my man Kenny P. In and out.
So,
In and out.
yeah, so I'd say there's Chamber and Henry.
HT. Henry.
So the
I'm sure
chamber
the other ones are
relationship
coming in next, right?
have
One by
helped.
one, they're gonna jump in and show face.
Probably. The one thing I would say, and this was an interesting conversation from years ago, is somebody that we did business with for quite a while approached me at a chamber meeting and said, okay, I've seen you in action for a year because I'd gone to different chamber events. Now I'm ready to talk to you. When can you come over and talk to us about IT? So it
Nice.
wasn't a one and done, hi, I'm here, here's my business card. It's, he had to observe what we were doing.
Yep. So I guess the question would be, Jason, of all of the things that are being done at Clarity for marketing, is there any one thing over the other that gets you better air coverage, or what do you think?
I mean, you know, from the marketing air cover perspective, I'd say things that we're doing on the site, LinkedIn, just trying to push relevant content out, and not bury them with content. Because if they're getting an email every day from us, they're just going to block send or do something. So it's very purposeful. Here's something once or twice a month from us, and here's something small. It's easy to digest, because we live in that world of if I have to go below the fold, I'm probably not going to go below the fold. So keeping it simple, keeping it light, seeing that we're engaged in the community, not just we're here to talk about technology, but let us answer questions about other things, or just here's other things that we do, our interest, where we plug in.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like all the things combined. There's not one thing that makes it work.
No,
I'm hearing that.
It's like a cake. There's a lot of ingredients within the cake. So the cake with just flour is pretty bad. Just eggs doesn't work, type of thing. It's when you combine all of that and you have the icing on top of that, then that cake is something that's appealing to somebody. So us being in the communities that we're in, because it's very relational driven, certainly in the rural parts, they want to see you, they want to know you're there. You go buy donuts at the local donut shop, you know, all those types of things. That's what helps build the presence, and people know you're going to be around. When something comes up, you're going to be here. You live in the community, or you're engaged in the community.
Nice. And of course, you bring up donuts and sweets and cake, and I'm looking across the parking lot and there's Dunkin' Donuts, and it's just calling to me for on my way as I pull out of this to head
Well,
back.
I'll poke at Kenny here. There is a bowl of beignet bites that's getting smaller by the moment.
Nice. So what are you saying? You're poking at him to get you some before they all go away?
No, I'm just hoping they have a second plate.
I'm sure knowing Kenny, there'll be plenty,
Yeah.
but if not, I'd be disappointed. So, marketing obviously is, you know, I put up a little bit of fun of the marketing and the how long we've been together, but um, obviously it's a long-term objective, right? It's not something that, is it something you start and stop, or what, what happens?
Well, I go back to that conversation I had with Brad Descent at HTG all those years ago, because they kept coming back and saying, oh, you need to do this and you should be in social media and you should be this and this and this. And I said to Brad, I'm absolutely hearing what you're saying. And I had done this when I worked at CompuServe. I was in product management and I did a lot of marketing there. And we had a lot of people to be able to make that happen and just to have a rhythm to it. And prior to us doing anything, I was doing some of that, but I'm trying to grow a business. I had to turn a wrench at the time. I have a family with 5 kids and all these other things. It's like I was very inconsistent at best about it. And I knew it had to have a rhythm and a plan. And somebody else needed to manage it for us because we just didn't have the bandwidth to be able to accomplish that.
Right, right. So, I hate going back on like COVID and stuff, but now that we're out, we're active again, we're doing things, and I would say pretty much, I don't want to say back to what it was pre 2020, but boy, it just seems like everybody's out there again doing and all that. How do you see that in your local community? Has everybody gotten back out and just feeling a little bit better and out, or is there still reservation?
I'd say for the most part, everyone's out, and at several networking events or just different luncheons I've been to, people will say something to the effect, "Oh, it's great to be together in person again." And
Hmm.
everyone was feeling that lack of social interaction. They felt locked up in their homes or just not able to get out and see people. And folks that are very relational in nature really struggled through that process. Another indicator would be some of the different chamber events that I'm in used to have, it used to be Zoom, and then it was in person and Zoom. And now they just say it's in person, no Zoom option available.
Right,
Okay,
right.
great.
And it seems like the travel industry is adapting well and coming back strong, because obviously hotels are needed, and aircraft and transportation. It seems like all of those industries are back, and they're struggling with their own hiring issues, right? Between the air, we see that. So this people thing is really a very real thing across multiple industries.
Right. We're
So
we're wired as humans to have relationships. Yes, we do have some people in the world that just want nothing to do with people, but a lot of us thrive on those relationships. And
yeah,
I look at the folks that clients that we work with. I had a conversation yesterday with a client for 30 minutes, and 5 of it was related to a technical issue. The other
nice.
was just catching up on a bunch of different things, and we've known each other for a long time. And I find that interesting, just being the business owner, to have those types of conversations and build the relationships outside of just, we're servicing you, your computer's broken, what can we do, kind of thing.
Yep,
Mhm.
yep. Well, Jason, I know we have more time today, but I know you're at the conference and you stepped out, and we really appreciate you coming out and joining us today, as well as everybody in our audience. So I'm going to kind of take it to wrap up here, and thank you, Jason, for coming on.
You're welcome.
I will attempt to show my screen again, because let's see, here we go. Uh, MSP Initiative, for those of you that know what it's all about. It's all about community, right? It's all about bringing content and people, and sharing that cooperative nature across it. And of course, where will uh, the MSP Initiative be? Well, there's some block parties that are coming up, and you'll see some menus being pulled down on that, but you can go and see what partners will be there that we've already had locked in. But we will be at DattoCon. So we will have a block party in the Washington National Stadium. So make sure to come back. There'll be a pull down on this community block party that you can sign up. We'll be down in Miami, I believe, in the Miami area for Taylor Business Group. So if you're part of TBB, we'll be down there and doing a boat thing. I think we also have a MSP Ignite out at ChannelCon the day before. So I think those you have to sign up with MSP Ignite to get on, and there's a couple sponsors that are on that. And I think that's a BVoIP or MSPI. I'm not sure which one or both are sponsoring, but a lot of the team will be out there. And then of course our big end of year phenomenal party, which you know, I'm not going to say what our headliner is, but if you go to the MSPI or MSP Initiative LinkedIn and look at our video of the race car being pulled into the trailer for the last time and listen to the music, you might get a little bit of a teaser as what might be happening at the block party in Orlando for around IT Nation. Where are we next? So you can go to channelstrongtour.com, or you can come to MSP Initiative. We're heading out into Denver, Oklahoma, Kansas, and I guess I could just scroll down and it'll make it easy for me, right? So we've got Denver, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Kansas City, St. Louis on our next leg of the tour, right?
Are you driving Route 66?
I might be. Maybe I'll take some cool shots if I see some stuff, pull over and see what we have there. So you can come out here if you're in one of those cities, or you want to travel to that city and you're an MSP or an MSSP, excuse me, blah, 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 right? Come on out and visit us. Sign up, get your ticket, book it now. And then, you know, the leg after that is we are out at, excuse me 1 second here. Got to put my phone on do not disturb. So it was ringing through. So we're out on the West Coast, and then we do our final leg of the year down into the Florida and Georgia sector of the year. So weeks 6, 7, and 8 are coming up. Make sure you come on out, see us, or come on out to the block party if you're going to be at DattoCon, Taylor Business Groups, ChannelCon, if you get the opportunity to sign up with MSP Ignite. And you know, we look forward, and thank you everybody. And Jason, again, thanks so much for the partnership over the years, the partnership with MSP Initiative and Channel Strong, and hosting us and spending the time with us today to share your thoughts.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep. And we appreciate everybody coming out on the audience, and hope there's some good content there for sharing and passing along. So on that note, I say goodbye, and Sade, do your thing.